Ever wanted to stand out from your competition? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you a simple 7 questions. 7 questions. Here they are. Whoop. 7 questions that allow you to stand out from your competitors at all times, very, very simply. And the best part is you can complete this in less than 5 minutes. Stay tuned. What's up, FlowChat Connector? Pow! Back at you with another high-ticket tune-up. Hope you're doing really well today. Don't forget, if you find some value out of this, please smash that like button. Share this out to somebody else that needs to get better at sales or wants to stand out from their competition. And don't forget to slap that subscribe button and become a subscriber so I can fill you up with great knowledge that you can share out and make yourself look really cool in front of all your friends and family and everybody else. Well, so today we're going to talk about 7 questions that allow you to stand out from your competition. And I don't want to delay. I want to get right into it today because I think these 7 questions, they came from a dude named Evaldo Albuquerque. His story is phenomenal. He came to America about 15 years ago, and he didn't know any more than about 2 words of English. And he started working at Agora Financial under the copywriting division. And at first they just had him like getting coffee and being kind of like an errand boy. And then what he did is he started reading all of these sales letters and he started understanding like all of this copy and this messaging and everything else that was incredible. And he eventually got to this point where he kind of started to deconstruct what was happening. And he came out with this series of questions and this way to write these sales messages that are so different, so compelling, and created virality for him and for the organization. And now he's actually become touted as one of the best copywriters of all times. He's written one particular sales letter that did over $300 million in sales just from a 1-2 pager document that he got in front of the right people. Of course, it was in the financial space. Besides the point, dude, that's a lot of money for anybody to build like a 2-piece of paper thing and send it out and just make a bunch of cash. So these 7 questions are based on his findings, and I think they'll be really valuable. You can actually complete this in less than 5 minutes. It's pretty simple. So let's get right into it. Here we go. What is a question number 1? Question number 1 is how is what you do different from everything else that they've seen, right? So take out a piece of paper, write that down. How is what you do different from everything else they've seen? Try to answer this in 1 sentence or less. The more concise you can be, the better off you can be. And again, if you can be different versus bigger, better, and faster, if we think about that analogy just for a second, what people buy more often than not is something that's new, something that's different, or something that's rare, right? Or unique, okay? So new, different, and rare will trump bigger, better, faster 100 times out of 100. If you say, hey, I've got this thing, it's bigger than, it's faster than, it's better than, your prospect immediately goes into this place of, oh, now I have a basis of comparison. I know what that thing is. I know what value that gives me. And this is supposed to be bigger, better, or faster than that thing. They have a baseline of comparison. They probably have some formulated magic price they've put in their head. And it makes you having that sales conversation a little bit more challenging for you to get over the hump, right? So the first thing we need to do is, how is what you do different from everything else they've seen? So write that down on a piece of paper in 1 sentence. Now we move to question 2. This is something that my uncle taught me long, long time ago. I said, how do you build such a big business? My uncle, everyone's got a rich uncle, right? And my uncle Simon is telling me, he's like, there's 5 things I think about on my hand. What's in it for me? I was like, oh, brilliant, right? So what's in it for them? That is the second question that we have to answer. Again, hopefully in 1 sentence. So if you can do this in a sentence or less, you're doing really, really good. What's awesome about this is if you get all these 7 questions tuned up, you can squish them into basically like an elevator pitch or a speech that you give to somebody, and you're going to be off and running to the races. So what's in it for them is the next best question you need to answer. Number 3, how do they know your offer is for real? Right? Maybe you have competitors out there. Maybe you have other things that make it look like your offer isn't for real, right? Do you have some testimonials, some case studies, some stories, some things that you can share, big pictures, graphics, GIFs, things like that, that makes it prove that your offer is real, right? And again, if you're only having a conversation, this question may be a little bit harder to actually get an answer to. But number 3 is, how do they know your offer is for real? Question 4, what's holding them back from moving forward with an offer like this? You know, a lot of people have some mental block, a record that was stored in their mind from long, long ago when they're young people. And now they've grown up and maybe that record, that self-limiting belief or something is popping out, Russell Brunson teaches there's a vehicle false belief, there's an internal false belief, and there's an external false belief. So vehicle would be the way they get from point A to point B, or they fill the gap. The internal false belief is, maybe I don't think I can do it. The external false belief would be like, oh, that's too expensive, right? And if you handle that question number one better than everybody else, you can immediately jump over the hurdle of price or time or something like that if you do it well, right? So, but again, you need to understand what's holding them back from moving forward with your offer, and being able to actually speak that into their world. It's going to allow you to get ahead faster, right? Question number 5. Who or what is to blame for actually holding them back? One of the most important things is you can share with them is like, hey, I know that you're probably thinking you can't do this, but that's probably because of whatever the reason was in their past that's held them back, right? And if you can articulate that to somebody, you'll become their best friend, their hero, because they'll be like, oh yeah, that's exactly right. That is the reason for holding me back. This is why therapists always try to go back into people's past and talk about their parents. What's their relationship with their parents? What's their relationship to money? What's their relationship with your spouse? And then they start to learn all these things from your past. And this is what some of the best sales professionals do, not specifically about their past and everything else in terms of their childhood, but their past business upbringing, similar concept. And they're able to use some of that stuff to promote and move the opportunity forward. So question 5 is, again, who or what is to blame for the holdback? Question 6, pretty simple one, is why now? Why should somebody invest with you now? Why is now the right time? And again, having some sort of urgency bias inside of that messaging that you're putting together is hyper valuable. And the last question to talk about is, why should they trust you? This is where a lot of people get it wrong. Most people will say, I've done this and this and this, and I have this medal, and I've made this much money, and I've done this many things. That shouldn't come in the first part of the conversation. That should come near the end, before the last thing that happens, the call to action. And that's it, right? So it's first, again, what I would do is I would take out a piece of paper, take a snapshot of this right now, take these questions down. Number 1, how is what you do different from everything else they've seen? 2, what's in it for them? 3, how do they know your offer is for real? 4, what's holding them back? 5, who or what is to blame for the holdback? 6, why now? And 7, why should they trust you? And if you can answer those questions in 7 sentences or less, and you can memorize that, when somebody comes out and says, hey, well, what do you do? Well, I do this. Oh, that's interesting. Why do you do that? And now you can just spit out that exact little phrase or that little paragraph that you've created as the answers to this. 100% of the time, 100 out of 100, you will stand out from your competition. If this was valuable, please smash that subscribe button, share this video to somebody else that might need this to get a little better at their elevator pitch, or at least talking to people or communicating. This can be used in a variety of different places. Again, Evaldo Albuquerque uses it to write sales letters. I use it to have conversation and communication with people. You can use it for whatever else. Again, I want to know what that is. Drop a comment below. How and where would you use these questions? What makes sense for you? Which one do you like? Which one do you hate? Why? Again, always open to hear back. I got 2 ears in one mouth. I try to use it in proportion all the time. But like I said, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, and share this out to somebody else that needs that. And I can't wait to see you next time. Ciao for now.